Welcome back to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder as I step out of my house and record an episode to you while I walk around. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good afternoon, friends. It is February 7th, and I'm finally back. A combination of lots of different things have gotten in the way of me getting back onto the podcasting horse. No specific things in particular, but it's been a little while. Now that we're in February, I thought I would start with a episode kind of letting you know how my January went gaming-wise and sort of giving some plans for the upcoming year. Well, I do want to say I've missed you all listeners. It's been a busy month, and it was a busy December and a very busy January, and I just did not have the bandwidth to record episodes, even though the whole point of the podcast, or the way I do it, is meant to be something I do during a time I wouldn't do anything anyways. It just got out of me. So I'm glad to be back. I'm not 100% sure how regular this is going to be. I would like to do it a couple times a week, as per usual. Get back into the habit of doing it when I'm walking home from the train, as was the original design, which would be three times every 2 weeks. I have 2 days a week that I'm going into campus right now, but one of those every other week I'm driving in. But I also need a little more exercise, so on the days when I'm not going, I might start taking walks, so we'll see. I'm not sure exactly what this year, at least for the next couple months, what the schedule is going to look like, but I'm going to try to get back to regular posting. But it is February, and I haven't made an episode since January, so it feels like I should start with the top of the stack. Apologies if you're listening to these, sort of shotgun style, and I just did a top of the stack like 2 episodes ago, but it's been a month for me, so here we go. Top of the stack, February 2024. This would be the first episode of the next season. I did not end up doing 100 episodes in the last season, so the number is no longer a round number, but I decided seasons are going to be by calendar year, not by number. So, or starting in February is always the new season. So we'll see. If I'm extra ambitious, maybe I can make up those 13 missing episodes, and we'll end the year on episode 700. I think this is season 7. So that's kind of where I am in terms of the episode numbers. On to the top of the stack. So in January of 2024, I played 65 plays of 40 games. A significant chunk of those were online. I did not have time for a ton of in-person playing, although it wasn't nothing. My shelf of opportunity this year, I'm trying to, again, halve. I started the year with 66 games on my shelf, which is more than I started last year with, so I did not make any progress in terms of getting rid of games on my shelf of opportunity. So my shelf of opportunity goal is to reduce the shelf by half, from 66 to 33 games. Instead, I went up 3 games. I'm at 69 now. So not great at that so far. We'll see how we can get rolling. I also should reduce the collection size. I still have in my head that an ideal collection size is about 500 games for the space that I have for storage. And I'm at 581 now. So not reducing. My most played game this month was Frosthaven with 4 plays, and in real life, and Motainai online with 4 asynchronous plays. I had 4 games on my top of the stack. As you remember, I consider it a successful month if I play 3 of them, and starting off the year, awkwardly, I only played 1. I did manage to play Vagrant Song, which was my top choice for the month, so I'm glad I got that done. Future Brendan here. I made a mistake when I was reporting my top of the stack. The top of the stack that I was using was actually the December games, not the January games, which means that I actually played 2 games instead of 1. The January games were Vagrant Song, as reported, but then it was Dream Home, My Little Scythe, and Star Wars the Deck Building Game. You'll hear me talk about Star Wars the Deck Building Game a little bit later. I played that as well as Vagrant Song. I did not, however, get to Dream Home or My Little Scythe. My apologies for the confusion. If you're hearing me refer to other games that I did or didn't play, that was a mistake. Those were the games from December, not the games from January. So I got 2 out of 3, not 1 out of 3. Thanks. I only tried 4 new games this month, which is not very many. You'll recall most months it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 that I try. So 4, this really speaks to how abbreviated my game playing was this month in terms of my in-person. And the main thing was that I missed 2 different toggle game nights, one for medical reasons and one for scheduling reasons. And so between those 2, that's a big chunk of my game playing for the month, especially where I play new games, because I go to a game club and people bring games I haven't played. So, but the games I did play, I played Star Wars, the deck building game, which was given to me by my friend Chris. Chris listens, hi. And that was really pretty good. I'll talk about that more later. We played Vagrant Song, like I said. I tried Nucleum, which is a new game from that group of Italian designers. It was made by Cranio Creations. It's sort of like if there was a sort of spectrum that had Barrage and Brass on it. Nucleum kind of lands in between them with a little bit more Brass than Barrage. I like it. Looking forward to playing it again. I don't think I like it enough to buy it, and it's not better than Brass, but still very good. So that's Nucleum. And then I also tried Something Wild, Marvel, Holiday Baby Groot. This is a very simple card game that my son got for Christmas, and we busted it out and played it. Had a good time. Something Wild, it's called. I tried out one expansion this month. That was Ark Nova Marine Worlds, and I really like it. I'm very glad to have it, and it will just stay in my set from now on. It makes everything better, doesn't make anything worse. It's not any harder, so it's not like it adds a whole bunch of new stuff to learn. It's great. So Ark Nova Marine Worlds gets top marks from me and is an incomer into the collection. And then finally, I did dust off one game this year. That was City of Horror. Now, as often happens in my zombie class, I stayed after my zombie class to play games on a couple of the Fridays, and City of Horror is one of the games we played. So this game is sort of barely dusty because it was a game that I hadn't played for a year and 6 days. So it was dusty, but it really is just sort of like which week I bring it to the game club or to the zombie class, whether we play it within a year or not. People who are picky would probably have a little bit of a grace period over a year that the game wouldn't count as dusty yet, but you gotta have it draw the line at some point, so I draw it at exactly a year. So that is my my reports on the normal lists. Now, last time we talked, I had not yet decided what my 10 for 10 was going to be. I think maybe I had decided, but I hadn't come up with a list yet. And this year, I have decided I'm just doing my own 10 for 10. I'm not doing the challenge thing. I found that I wasn't getting it done. I was basically just completing those challenges by accident. I wasn't going out of my way to do them. And so it felt silly to do it. So I'd rather focus and actually complete my 10 for 10 this year. It's kind of a 10 by 10. What I did, I think I mentioned that I might be doing this last time, but I've confirmed, yep, that's what we're doing, is we picked 10 categories of game. And as I play them, I'm marking them played. And then over the course of the year, hopefully I'll play these 100 games that fit in these categories. As you may remember, I have a wooden piece in our family house in our living room that displays meeples in these sort of rows, and you could label the front of each row. It's meant to be like a 10 for 10 display. And interestingly, it has 11 columns because it was meant to be a thing where you put one meeple in each row and then you move it up one notch from 0 to 10 as you play games. But instead, somehow I ended up with 100 meeples. The idea is you fill it up as you play, but there's 110 spots. So I'm not sure exactly what to do with the finishing one, but in what past what I've done is I just have a gap in the middle. Once you get to 5, you leave a gap to make it easy to count. So here are the 10 categories that we have on the board. Now, some of these are going to be a little easier to achieve than others, but that's fine. When you have a 10 by 10 board, it's nice to have some gimmies, which means the things that aren't gimmies, you have to do a little more work on. We have legacy/campaign games. That's pretty self-explanatory, I should think, and we've already played 5 of those. I mentioned Frosthaven has been getting play. We've played Frosthaven twice, Vagrant Song once, and Sagrada Artisans twice. So I imagine the legacy/campaign category will be finished by March at the latest. I wouldn't be surprised. We haven't played very many more in February here. It's been really busy in the last part of January and the early part of February, but it wouldn't surprise me if we finish well ahead of schedule. Next category, we have nature/animal. Now, these are games where nature or animals are depicted in a more realistic way. So something like Wingspan would fit in there. but we have not played any games in that category yet. So I'm gonna have to get on that. My guess is most of the plays there will be Wingspan, Parks, Cascadia. I would imagine those three, maybe Nemalia as well. I guess New York Zoo would fit in that category, and any new games that we get that meet that requirement. The third one is a 3-hour game. I want to play 10 3-hour game, 3+ games that take 3 hours or more. And the two I've played so far are one of our plays of Frosthaven went over 3 hours, and my play of Nucleum went over 3 hours. So those two, we've got 2 plays so far. Then aside from nature and animal games, we also have a cute animal games. Now this is meant to be games where we sort of have anthropomorphized animals doing cute human stuff like running businesses. That's the idea of the cute animal category. And of course, Everdell is the sort of poster game for this category. And sure enough, we played Everdell. So we have 1 play of Everdell. Next up, I have novelty games. This one's going to take a little more effort, but part of the reason I put it on here is I own a number of novelty games that I haven't played. I would like to get them played, and so I put them on my challenge list. This might involve doing a little bit of effort to take them to Toggle to play them, see if I can get people who are game to try out these different weird games, weird, cheesy, and obscure games. But yeah, so that's kind of the point of that. It isn't a huge piece of my game collection, but a useful one or an important one. So those are novelty games. So far, 0 of those. Then the next one is expanded. By expanded, I mean playing a game where the expansion is in the game and being used. So, like for example, when we played Ark Nova and we added in the Marine Worlds expansion, that would be an expanded game. Now, not allowed there are legacy games that have built-in expansions as you're playing, in part because that's a different category, the legacy and campaign game. I would not consider those expanded. Also, I would exclude here Arkham Horror, which is a game that's got expansions, but is not going to be part of what I'm looking at there. But we've played 1 of those. And then the last 3 columns, or 3 rows, I have 26 different spots and then 4 more. So the idea is I want to play 1 game starting with each letter of the alphabet over the course of the year, and 4 games that have numbers in them. They don't have to start with a number, but they have to have a number in the title, and the number of digits in the number is the requirement. So I have 4 spots for numbers. First one is a game that has a single-digit number in the title. Second one would be 2-digit number. Third one would be 3-digit number. Fourth one would be a 4-digit number. So those would be the remaining 30 spots. I've already played quite a bit. I played Castles of Mad King Ludwig for C. I played Frosthaven for F. Ghost Stories for G. Last Night on Earth for L. Star Wars deck building game for S. Quicks for Q. And that's it. So that's my top 10. I will give you updates as we go along on games that add plays. The other thing I'm doing this year, which I did not do in the past and I wish I had, is I printed out a piece of paper that I'm keeping with my top 10 display, or my 10 for 10 display, that shows every game I've played and when I played it. So as I'm playing games and adding them to the shell or to the display as like counted for the system, then I am also revealing to myself or keeping track for myself of which plays and when count for those. Finally, just a matter of physical administration. I've had problems with this display with the meeples in the little spots falling off. And so I have some blue tack and I'm sticking it to the back of the meeples as I stick them on. So I thought you'd be interested in that maybe. Okay, almost done. Like I said, there are 69 games on my shelf of opportunity. I acquired 5 games this in January. At the beginning of the month, I had 576 games. I acquired Porta Nigra and Charty Party at Goodwill. Porta Nigra was kind of expensive, actually. It was $10, which is right on the cusp. But I remember that game getting pretty good reviews. Lots of people think it was pretty interesting. It's a Wolf game. It's a Kramer and Kiesling game. So I thought, yeah, I'll give it a try. And it's in good condition. So happy to get that and try it out. Or I haven't tried it out yet, but to get that. And then Charty Party is a party game that I'm sure will get played at some point, probably at my board game club at school. I also, when we were visiting Indianapolis, the local game store there, the Game Preserve, or one of them, has an incredible selection. And last year, they had Woodcraft, and I would have purchased it, but I had already pre-ordered it from My Game Shop, and then My Game Shop didn't get Woodcraft for me until like June. And so this year, I did not pre-order the latest Vladimir Suchý game, and sure enough, they had a copy of it there. So I have my grubby little hands on Evacuation, which as of 2 weeks ago had only been out for a week, so in the US. So really excited to play that. And then I had some Amazon points, and I had a purchase because I'm playing mystery games in my board game class, and one of the games we're playing is Whitehall Mystery, which is a game about, it's a hidden movement game where you're chasing somebody. And so we had Whitehall Mystery. I needed to get a copy of that because I didn't have it. And then I also picked up Brian Boru, which you'll maybe remember. I think I mentioned that I played that in December with my friend Chris. Hi, Chris. And it stuck with me. I thought it was really neat, very interesting, beautiful art, and I'm excited to try it again. So I picked it up to be played at future dates by me. And I brought it to Toggle the last 2 weeks, but haven't gotten it played yet. Maybe next week. So that brings it up to 581 as my collection size. I also got a copy of Lost Ruins of Arnak Missing Expedition, which makes it a co-op. I'm really excited to try that. So finally, I had to designate games I want to play in February. As you remember, I'm going to pick 4 games each month to try to play. And I think giving myself a little more room to catch up on the top of the stack. Sometimes I will put games in there, I often will put games in there again. So as I was putting together the top of the stack, I decided to keep a couple games that I had last time. So the 4 games I picked for February are Evacuation, Alien, Fate of the Nostromo, Hunted, Woad Ridge, that's a solo game, and Brian Boru. So those are the 4 games I want to get played in February. It's already February 7th, so I'm under the gun already. You remember February is shorter than the other months, although it's a leap year, so we do have a 29th day in February. Well, listeners, that brings me to the end of my monthly report. So I thought I'd take a minute here before I get home to talk about the podcast. So I think this year will continue much as it has in the past. I'm trying to let go of some of my feeling of obligation to churn out 2 or 3 episodes a week. Although often what happens, as you know from long experience, is after a dry spell, then I get into it again and I really am able to publish a bunch. One of the big factors in me not publishing in the last couple months was that my computer died. My main computer that I used to do all my work suffered some fatal visual errors and became unusable. And it was 8 years old, so it wasn't worth trying to repair again. Instead, I went and got a new computer, really snazzy, does all the stuff you'd want it to do, works nicely, has lots of room, and I'm very glad to have another computer, a new one that works well. So part of the reason I fell out of the habit was that I was not in a place where I could easily edit new episodes. I could do it on my laptop, but my school laptop just didn't have the right combination of easy to use things that made it practical to post episodes. So being back on my main computer, I now can do so, and I'm looking forward to doing this. This will be the first episode I edited on my computer, and I'm going to post it the day I recorded it. Speaking of which, I am going to post another episode after this one, probably today, maybe tomorrow, that is old. So be on the lookout for that. Well, that brings me to the end of my time recording for you right now. That brings me to the end of my walk. I'm out of practice. Yeah. So I'd love to hear from you. You can email me, brendan@rattleboxgames.com, or you could send me a direct mail message on BoardGameGeek, Wombat929. If you post in the Pick Up and Deliver Guild, I'm a little behind on my notifications, so I am catching up, but slowly. And so I may not see it for a little while. If you have something direct to say, BoardGameGeek message is probably the most efficient way to get a hold of me. I hope that you'll post a little bit about what you've been playing. I'd love to hear where you all are. If anyone's still listening, a little note to say, hey, I didn't remove you from my feed. And I'm happy to talk with you about games again. So welcome to season 7, and let's enjoy it. Thanks for joining me on my walk today. I hope your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye.